Hi, Kimberly. So I'm sitting here with your session plan. I'm just going to give you some feedback. So in general, I really like the simplicity of your plan. You're very clear. You're not, you don't seem afraid that you're not covering enough. And instead, you're going for thoroughness and letting them thoroughly examine the challenge before, I assume in future, you would then go into solutions. So in terms of your introduction, you just want to make that very, very clear up front. People are used to gathering to solve problems, and you want to make very sure that their expectation is that you're not going to come to a solution today, you're just going to come to a better understanding of the problem. So next you move into what you call assessing the situation and the webbing tool. Now, what's important for me to note here is that you are not doing the webbing tool. What you're describing here is not webbing. And why this is important, which I'll return to in a moment, is because I do think you should do webbing. And I think you can do webbing if you shorten up the assessing the situation, which is what you have here, and then you can do a tool. So you begin assessing the situation. This is assessing the situation. This is finding out information, right? By asking people, what data do you need? So great, you ask that question, people will generate their sticky notes, they'll post them, right? And you'll get a whole bunch of ideas around what data people feel they need to do their job well. When all their data is posted, you might add a step where you say, does anyone see anything here that they would, could everyone add one more idea or build on one more idea, or is there anything missing? So, giving people a chance to step back, look at all the ideas, perhaps you might even group them before asking this question, and then give them a chance to build on it. My suggestion would be that you don't converge at this point, but rather you say we'll converge in a moment, but right now let's move on to another question. What, in your ideal world, what data would you have? And you get them. I don't think you need to spend 20 minutes on this. This is sort of an add-on question to get their creative thinking going, but I don't think you need that amount of time. So then they generate a few more sticky notes with their ideal world. So now you have all these sticky notes, and now I would suggest you go into convergence. And there's several ways you could do this. You can just say, in terms of hits, you can just treat all the sticky notes as the same and say, and ask them something like, could you prioritize what would be the top data you need? And I would give them 5. You have 5. That might be appropriate. The top 5 things you need. So that would be great. And the goal is to get a list of your top 5 priorities you need from your software. So you could just do that with both of the sets of ideas from your first brainstorm session around what data you need, and your second one around your ideal world. Group together and let it come out in the wash when people vote. Alternatively, you could give them, let's say, 5 votes around what data do you need to do your job well, and then you could say, all right, and here's an extra one, where you could put one sticky around what's your dream, what in your dream data would you have, and they get one convergent vote for that. So the specifics of this, I will leave that to you to work out, but my advice is that you don't do 2 full half-hour cycles for each of these questions, because I don't know if the results you will get will merit the time put in, if you'll get that ROI. So I do think that webbing would be an appropriate next step, because webbing is about, so now you have this information about, in a way, what people want, right? And you haven't formally come to a vision, but that is about visioning. That is about imagining, okay, in the ideal world, we'll have this system. Now what might be a good idea is to go down the web. And this is just a suggestion, so write me, call me, whatever, if it doesn't resonate with you. But now you could start with taking all that information as background of where you want to go and what you want to achieve. How might we improve our BI software to provide accurate data? So you might actually start and say, do we need to go back to the problem statement? And they might say, yeah. They might say, actually, the goal isn't just accurate data. There might be other kinds of data they've identified through your last exercise, that they then change the problem statement to how might we improve our BI software to provide rich data. I'm not sure. They might decide that it needs to be changed. Um, so so then you have your problem statement. And then you might do the webbing exercise, which is what's stopping this from happening. And then you'll be getting into questions of questions that aren't just about the data you need, but about what are the core issues you need to look at to move forward with this happening. So it might be resources. It might be, so what's stopping this from happening? A lack of resources. What else is stopping this from happening? Lack of collaboration between divisions, let's just say. What else is stopping this from happening? Maybe the technology doesn't exist to get the kind of data we need. What else is stopping this? And so then you're getting into all the different issues. Then you can start focusing on and prioritizing and saying, okay, of all these issues, which one do we need to address in order to move forward on getting this system fixed to achieve all the amazing things that we envisioned in the first part of the session. And the reason I thought of that was that I saw that you're ending with the 4 I's. So that's where you're looking at these problem statements you'll be generating a whole bunch of new problem statements using the web. And then you could say, okay, using the 4 I's, which of these problem statements should we be addressing? So for example, it might be what's stopping us from getting the software we need. It might be that, and I don't know your context, so just use this as an example. Your IT department has internal problems. You might look at that challenge and realize, you know what, we don't have the influence to make that better. Therefore, even though that's an important challenge to address, it's not the one that we're going to take on. So that's where your using of the 4 I's, as you point out in your session plan, would be relevant. That's all my feedback. Please let me know if it's clear or if you have questions, and I look forward to reading about how it goes.